morning and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, on our 499th episode of this show. Yes, you know what that means, right? You know what that means. What is Monday? Hey, it's Anki. I haven't seen you in a while. Anki, hi. Hello, hello, hello. So Yes, Monday is number 500. 500. It's the only time anybody's happy for Monday, right? Nomad Zeke, thank you for the resub. 33 months. We indeed. We. But yes, here we are. Oh my gosh, I've cut off their heads. Yes, or I've cut off their bodies. I've cut off their something or others. Anyway, so what we're doing today is, because Bunny is almost doney, we are going to have Kitty in reserve. Kitty and Bunny. Actually, technically, they should be like, Kitty should be going, you look tasty, and Bunny should be like, let me clobber you with my crossbow. She just looks like she's going to use it as a mace, right? She really kind of has a skeptical look on her face. She's like, get away from me, cat. So, anyway, my fanciful plot adjustments regarding the miniatures we are painting aside, I hope everybody is planning to have an excellent Friday. I am. Let's see here. I need some grass and things and stuff. But I need to probably finish painting this basing first. And it's still pretty dark. And I want to bring up some of that stuff. Now, because we started with a very dark undercoat, it will take a little bit of effort to make this basing go lighter. Although it's kind of nice as darker groundwork, it serves to ground the figure. See what I did there? But puns aside, it does. Because she has the lighter colors for the most part up above, having a darker colored base is actually a good thing. It also gives us contrast with our grass. As you remember, we were painting the bottom of the grass as well. So we're going to be continuing to streak some colors into the grass today. And work on base work and work on more grass, but shorter grass at the front. I see no buns on this figure. Well, actually, I guess there are some, but they're hidden by the grass. All right, let's see here. What do I want to do? I want to work on... I need a gray. My wolf gray's in the other room. So maybe I'll use polished bone. So bone colors can be good warm grays for picking up stonework, especially. So I'm going to grab polished bone for the rocks there. But I want some lighter brown over this groundwork as well. We used a little bit of shield brown, but now I'm going to go all the way up to leather brown. And leather is actually a pretty good highlight for shield if you don't want to go grayer. So kind of file that away in your little brains. Although if I do a useful browns PDF for the Patreon, which I will be most likely very soon, I will be talking about why these colors actually do go together and actually make a good part of a triad. So let us grab my glasses. But yes, as more people come in, I'm reminding you, today is our 499th episode, and Monday is going to be fun. We're going to paint on the dragon, and we are going to give away gift codes. So come and have fun and birthday cake or something with our stream, and hang out with us. That's about right, Nomad Zeke. Like, puns are fun up to a point, and then they're just really annoying. And I like a clever pun with the best of them. My problem with most puns is they aren't very clever. They're the low-hanging fruit of puns. I'm a pun connoisseur, so you gotta try a little harder. But then the secret to good pun is not trying too hard, so it's an elegant form of humor. Most people don't give it credit for that, but you know what, Kitty? I'm not gonna take Kitty off his base. I took Bunny off of her plinth because she's almost done. And then I realized, wait, I'm not actually done with her. And Bunny probably needs a plinth. But I don't think I've got an extra plinth right now. I'll just have to put her on something big. Let me grab some sticky tack. I do want to stick her down, so we're going to put her on my big angle here. Hey, Iffy. And it also looks like I need some more blue tack because I don't have a lot in my hand here. Uh-oh. It turns out we went through a lot of blue tack when David was bringing stuff to the last con. So now I find myself a little short of blue tack. It's only a little short. There we go. We have various types and colors, and I definitely have them sorted by, you know, most annoying and least annoying. There, we'll just make a little bit, that go a little bit more blue. And my actual blue tack is actually very goopy right now. I don't know what its issue is. Maybe it's old or something. But it's definitely having goopiness issues. And sometimes poster putty will get like this, where it's just kind of like, see how it's gooping? So I'll still use it, but I'll just grab a little bit of it because it's really stringy when it gets like this. It's pretty much probably ready to be trashed if I want to be very honest with myself. But I can still use it because even though it's really stringy, see that string that's dangling off of it? That's way too goopy. But I can mix it with my firmer putty to make my firmer putty a little stickier. So it is absolutely still like useful if you have other putties. And they will eventually mix together, more or less. At least they will kind of like, they won't truly mix, but they'll get to a uniform point. Oh, hey, Sergio. Bye. Hi. It's a rare Sergio appearance. Poof. A Sergio appears. Did you catch him before he left? I know he'd appreciate the Pokemon reference. If you're still here, Sergio, then you have to tell me what kind of Pokemon you are. I know you used to play Pokemon Go. Sergio, poof. Yes, he does, but he probably missed the fact that we're gonna have a 500th episode, and I totally missed him popping in and then going by. Because I was too entranced with my green stuff. Or my blue stuff. My stuff. Stuff. Still, it was nice to have a Sergio. I should text him. I haven't texted him in a while. Boop. Alrighty, bunny. Get on there. Alright, we have a new gigantic base for Bunny. And now we'll put her in focus. There. Oh, you didn't catch that, Iffy? Today is the 499th episode. Monday is 500. We will be doing giveaways. We will be painting a dragon. We will be painting on the dragon we started during Bone 6. That is now my special occasion dragon. So, if you did not know, Monday, because today is 499, it's the 500th episode eve. If you want giveaways, and if you want to see Dragon, you have to show up on Monday. Enough said. For now. We'll go back and say it again in a second. No. No, Crowley should not do that. I do not want your little Crowley hamster heart to explode. Aw. Bummer that you'll miss it. All right, let's see here. So let's do this. Let's leather brown. Now, using leather brown as a highlighter here will also warm up the base a bit because it's very gray right now, right? It's dark, and then it's got shield brown, which is a very gray brown. And since shield brown is like right next to just dark colors and gray, and it's also right next to her really warm little feet, it's definitely showing it like that. Shadow Raven, that's quite a feat. Oh, hey, is Kuroniko in the chat? I need a Kuroniko. Gonna grab just a random well and get a little bit of this brown in here. Now, leather brown is different brown also from the ones we used on Bunny, and that is on purpose. I could use a brown or a variation of a brown that I used on Bunny, and that would arguably tie the basing with her together a little bit better. But at the same time, I don't want it to be too repetitive. I don't really want the ground to look like her. Oh, maybe Kuro was out for a bit. I thought I saw her recently. Thought she was. I usually notice if she's gone for multiple days. That's all right. I'll message her. All right, so let's see here. Do I have a tiny dry brush? I don't think I've got anything that's super tiny. Usually for 28 millimeter, what I'm reaching for is a Reaper flat, like this one. I could use the side of this, but as you can see, because I put the rocks in there, it's a little bit too big. So I'm going to end up just using a round probably and just going for it. I'm just going to check and see if I have any other brushes that might suit in my drawer. Usually I want to use a synthetic because I want to use something that's a little bit stiffer and not as soft, but it looks like I'm out of luck. So, and when I have to dry brush something tiny, I won't even use a paper towel to unload my brush. I'll just like use a sticky note. I'm just going to use my my crappy mixing brush, and I'm going to just gently. This is not really dry brushing; it's more wet brushing. But I've taken most of the paint off of the brush. And I'm just gently using the side of it. Take this off so you guys can actually see that a little bit more. Yes, it is show $4.99. That's what I've been saying all morning. If you want giveaways and to see the dragon that I'll be working on, the dragon from Bone 6, we're checking in on him, her. If you want that, then you better show up on Monday. That's all I'm saying. Everybody loves giveaways. You know what? This brush is so shot that it's not even a good dry brushing brush. Oh, when your brush is so bad that you can't even dry brush with it, guys. That's what I'm saying here. I'm going to grab the synthetic. Since I'm being gentle with it, it won't really wreck it. Now, Reaper paint can be a little more challenging to dry brush with, and the reason is that it is more fluid out of the bottle, so it's not going to chunk up as readily as other paint. But I like that because I don't do true dry brushing, really. I'm more looking to just get a very small amount of paint on my brush and then use the side of the brush to bring in some of that color like I did there. It lets me do a lot more control, and although it is slower, it's not terribly slower. If I was working on a bigger surface, I would be using a bigger brush and it would go a lot faster. But as we determined, my other crappy brushes are out of the building or in the other room, and I just don't feel like going and digging for them. This is already my mixing brush, Beguiler. Like, I tried to use it because it is already my crappy mixing brush. So, but it was beyond even that. And I don't usually dry brush. Like, I know I did a video on it for my Fundamentals YouTube. But as I mentioned in my, which you guys actually haven't seen yet, but I did an Anne's Origin story video that's going to go up on YouTube's in June, sorry. Those of you who are my patrons have seen it, if you've watched it. But I do mention on there that actually I learned to layer before I learned to dry brush, because I, even as a baby painter, I really didn't like the texture that dry brushing lays down. And so I have always kind of disliked it, just for my own self. Like, very useful, and some people are very good at it indeed. I think almost like, it's almost like, for me, airbrushing is like the new dry brushing, and it's more like what I would recommend people do. Although I was watching somebody yesterday on video who was very good using a very big soft brush to get highlights down in a very fine way. It was actually done very well. I was impressed. So that's, like I said, it's not like it's a bad technique. It's just how you do it. I purposefully did not go pop culture with this, Nomad Zeke. It's not something that usually turns me on. But I know a lot of people really take great delight when they can paint a miniature to be like somebody from movies or TV. It's not my shtick. Just gonna cut off some of these little hairs that are getting me annoyed. One sec. Alrighty. Now, since my paint is thick, it is actually drying in my palette, so I'm going to have to add water to it soon just to make sure I don't have to scrub it out. Anywhere that I get like a smooth section where there was glue or whatever, I'm just going to stipple a bit. So that's made the groundwork come up a little bit more. I like that a little better. I think the reason I don't reach for pop culture references is that I actually hate being derivative in art. Like, obviously all art is derivative. All art and all writing is all building on stuff that's come before. But I've always been attracted to giving my unique spin on something. And so for me, doing something based on a movie or TV show isn't as attractive. There are exceptions. Sometimes I like a character so much that I just want to do an homage to it. Actually, I'm thinking about doing that with one of my Limbo characters. I'm thinking about painting him like Vincent from Final Fantasy VII. Because he's definitely got that vibe going on. All right, let us see. We got rocks to paint. I have wetted down my brown. I'm going to mix up my bones so we can highlight these stones, and then we can put some stuff. Hello, Pocket. I think Reaper technically calls it hair folk, but yes, it's whatever you call rabbit people in your world. She is, normally I have her little card sitting here. She is Enrieth, sculpted by Christine Van Patten. She's in Bones USA. And we're almost done with her. Just doing some basing. Oh, that's pretty cool, Pocket. Yeah, Quindy with the link. Yeah, I like the hair folk that Christine's done 2 of them. But yeah, I like her a lot. She's been fun to paint. I looked up actual hair pictures to base her markings on her face and stuff. So she is based on actual photos of real hairs, which I like to do. Including the black-tipped ears and everything back there. But yeah, let me put her down for a second so I can mix up this bone color for the rocks. I'll put some of the leather brown on there also. All right, so we're thinning this probably about 2-to-1 paint to water for the bone color. Hey, Big Apple, thank you for the resub. 22 months. Yep, 2 more months. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's cool to base it off your pet rabbit. I did one of my favorite rabbit colors is Silver Martin, where they've got the black but with the silver ticking. And I did commission long time ago for somebody to commemorate their pet rabbit who died, then painted it like a Silver Martin. That was very fun. I think that's about right, Pendrake. That sounds like the Looney Tunes eco cycle. Alrighty, gonna grab some of this bone color and see if it's too light. No, it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna grab actually some of my leather color as well. Just gonna do some light stippling on the stones here. Kind of bring them up a little bit. Stippling suggests texture. I was working with grays last night, so I think I pulled all my grays out of here. But I might have rainy. I'm going to grab rainy gray too. Just so you know, the original Desert Stone recipe that I did was largely based on mixes of grays and leather brown. So when you do these kind of mixes, like I'm already working with leather brown, now I'm mixing up a gray. When you do these kind of mixes, the color that you will get is very close to the original, the Desert Stone and Desert Sand colors, because that's what they were based on. I was studying pictures of Egyptian stone and temples when I created that mix, and that's how the Desert Stone colors came to be. Based on actual desert rocks. Yeah. It's a beautiful day here today. I'm so happy we're headed towards summer. Like, so happy. It's Anne season. Ridiculously happy for the warm weather. Yesterday, I took my walk and I could wear a tank top and I didn't have to bring a coat. Like, that is my happy place right there. It was so gorgeous. It was 77 degrees and sunny on my walk yesterday. And breezy. Like, just gorgeous. Like, when that weather hits, then I'm just, like, happy to be here. Just makes my whole day better. Being able to open all the windows and doors and stuff. All right, so just stippling some highlights on the top of these rocks will help them stand out a little bit. I'm going to add those highlights to the stones that she's standing on as well. You are one of those polar bears, huh, Pocket? I am the opposite. I am whiny and terrible the minute it gets below 60. Which is why I grew up in Wisconsin too. So, you know, I suffered through much of my formative years. And the minute I got the chance to move south, I did. See, and I'm very adept. Yeah. I have adapted. I lived in Texas when I worked on site for Reaper. I lived in Texas because Reaper is in North Texas. And I got very used to the 90 to 105 degree summers. Like, you just acclimate. At least I did. And now it's like I have a huge heat tolerance. I've actually always had this. Even when I was in Wisconsin, I had it. So I have a very high heat tolerance and no tolerance whatsoever for cold. Even with my upbringing in a very cold state. I was just miserable in Wisconsin. That and I was allergic to the entire state, so. Yeah, there's a lot of polar bears here in the chat, Pocket. You're well at home. I always see people talking about how they'd much rather have cold than hot. So you're in good company here. So I'm going to leave a little bit of shadow around her feet just to make sure her feet continue to stand out. I am going to texture it a little closer to her toes, though. Yeah, you guys in the Polar Bear University. Polar Bear alumni. Well, more cold for you. More cold for you. I moved away, so now you can all like soak up even more. I won't be stealing any of it. So lightening up the rock, and you can see over here how it's coming up and how this is a little bit flat over here, and this looks a lot more natural. I'm also going to take these colors and I'm going to kind of put them over the little dirt and stones around them a little bit, just not a lot, just touch here and there to make everything look like it's part of the same ecosystem, so that it's just like larger and bigger and smaller chunks. We've got some variance going on. Yeah, you'd like it out here for the most part, Shadow Raven. Most of the time our climate is very moderate. But we do get some warm in the summer, and that's what I live for. I'm just a perfectly happy me. Everybody else is complaining about the heat, and I'm just like, yay! Yay! Oh, hey guys, next week is not only our 500th episode on Monday, but on Wednesday I found out if our puppy's mommy is pregnant. I think it is. It's the 25th. I think that's Wednesday. So that'll be the next step. I'll get confirmation probably sometime after the show. And Bridget will do an ultrasound to see if Zammy is pregnant. And if she is pregnant, then we are one step closer to getting a puppy this late summer. So I'm going to leave a bit of shadow back behind her foot there because we've got some grass. I'm going to do just a little bit of touching, just a little bit of touch with this lighter color, just a little, so it's not totally neglected. But that's looking pretty good. So, all right, let's put some grass up here. But yeah, so there should be puppy news on Thursday. Let's see here. I'm going to go with the burnt grass color from Woodland Scenics. I keep a bit of it in a little Tupperware container. And this is the color I'm going for since I'm doing kind of field grass and I'm not going terribly green. I will actually bring this up greener, but I want it to be pretty neutral at the base because if you recall, grass at the base tends to be more brown. It's like last season's dead grass, and then there's fresh grass on top of it, and it kind of builds up. So that's kind of what we're going for. I'm going to use super glue for this because I'm impatient. I did leave a nice dip here between these two stones to get some nice grass in there. And then we'll look and see if there's anywhere else I want to put it. But here, I just want to be careful and not get the glue like too far up the rocks on either side. Have a nice puddle of it there. It is going to creep anyway, so I'm probably going to get some grass between these stones. I'm going to dump a lot on here, like a huge pinch. Sprinkle it right on. Now, tap it with your fingertip to make sure it settles in. Then turn it over. Pat it off. And then blow across it. I blow across it from both directions. We have not much adhesion there. We got just a little bit of tuft. This is why people use tufts. Is because, it's faster. Just like to lay down a tuft of grass. But you maybe get a little bit more of a natural effect if you don't. So I've got this one set of grass. Now I'm going to let it set. And then I'm going to put essentially more on top of it. I'm going to build it up. Hey, grats on the vacation, Dogfather. I'm glad. I hope you had a good time. We have news for you since you just got back. Today is our 499th episode. Monday is our 500th episode. So if you can, show up on Monday because we're going to be working on the Bone Six Dragon and we're going to be giving away gift codes. gift codes for product. So do show up on Monday. Also, Dogfather, I just mentioned on Wednesday, I find out if our doggy mommy is preggers with our puppy. So hopefully with our puppy. So I'll have to wait and see if there are 1, enough puppies, and 2, a girl puppy. But if she's pregnant, we are closer. We are closer to puppy. So with the super glue, it doesn't take long for this to dry. Then I can put another dab of glue on top of it and repeat the process. And that's building up nicely in a very organic way around the stones there. I can take my pokey tool, that's what I've been doing here, to kind of guide it when the super glue is wet. If I feel like it's on top of the stones, I want to scooch it off a little bit. I can do that with the pokey tool and get it around that stone. And we've got more grass build up here now. It's hard to see, but that's okay. We're going to be painting it, so I just need it to be there. And I can resituate any grass that may have gone out of the zone I want it in. Cool. Potential. Yes, potential. Just like updates are, puppy updates are pup dates. All right, while we wait for, I'm going to let that set. And while we wait for it to dry, I'm going to choose some colors to deal with this grass. I want a nice brown, and I want some green. And the best green is meadow green, I think. I want some meadow green, and I want to mix that with some yellow to bring it up. I think I'm going to choose lemon yellow here. And I think that's going to be okay. I think I can build a pretty good palette with that and with the colors that I have right now. So I'm going to put these in my palette while we wait for that static grass to set. Wait for my glue to dry. Don't use, we haven't used meadow green on here before. It is, of course, the Bobby Jackson pestering color. He pestered Ron until Ron put it back in the line. Thanks for the resub, Dogfather. 27 months. Yay! Yes, it will not be that many. Come on. I mean, I may be special, but I'm not that special. So I'm going to use this pretty much full strength on this paint. I may drop 1 drop of water in it. I want it to spread and go on the grass pretty well. And I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go and mix some green into that. Just going to grab some water. Nobody invokes the wrath of Quindy like Luca, though. Like, Luca has a talent. He has a calling. So I'm going to make a triad here. I'm going to grab my bone color and bring that in to build a highlight. And because the bone color has gray and brown in it, it's not staying as bright, but that's okay. That's good. Can take a little bit of that, mix it back in. Can take a little bit of that, mix it back in. And we can go back around like that. And now we have a brand new triad, a field grass. No, there's only one Luca. I don't want more Luca in the world. Not on my stream. You can go and, like, you know, terrorize somebody else's stream if you want, Shadow Raven. But I actually prefer not having, you know, that kind of mayhem on this stream. Quindy's got enough to deal with. I mean, if you want to get yourself permabanned, go ahead, but we really don't want you to be permabanned, so... I mean, she has to deal with Luca, because he's actually doing a show for us. he gets a little leeway. Yeah, yeah. Alpaca apocalypse? Alpaca apocalypse. Alpocalypse? Alpocalypse. Yeah. All right. Let us add some green tones to our grass. And then I'm going to maybe see if I can get this a little bit higher in the front here. All right, so let's see here. I'm going to start with some of my darker green, and I'm going to mostly focus that down here near the dark brown. Just kind of bringing up a little bit of green color. We want it to be, yeah, Quindy, exactly. I was going to say never. There's always a level of annoying you can hit. Never think you're safe. So really, I'm trying to play this green over the dark colors so I can kind of mitigate and blend back in that dark color, and also so that my green doesn't come out too bright. And since it's a very thin paint, relatively speaking, it's just kind of tinting the grass, and that's what I want. I actually don't want a real strong color here. I just want a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit more of this lighter green. I'm also not being real precise because I just want little touches. You can see how that color is shifting. It's very nice, actually. This is where I'm like always like, hey, paint your basing materials. I feel pretty strongly about that. I feel like if you don't at least do a little bit, it's not going to look right when you have the basing material next to a painted model. However good you might think it'll look better when you start adding in some color. So adding in those little flushes of green actually picks up the pink on her a lot. Hey, Ultra Squid. Every time I see somebody new in chat, I'm going to tell you the same thing, which is that today is our 499th episode, and Monday will be number 500, and we are giving away gift codes, and we are going to paint on the dragon. So, Ultra Squid, you now know. So a little bit more green back here. I can also, if I feel I go too far, I can grab some of my leather brown and mix kind of a buff color and go in with that instead to tone down the green. The nice thing about painting this stuff too is that if there are any loose hairs, you're going to pull them out. So we want a variance of color because meadowgrass does have a variance of color. Yes, episode 500 on Monday. Episode 500 on Monday. 500. We don't have any, Nomad Zeke. Priorities are different. Yes, it would be great for me to have a Poke Tool, but it's not a top priority right now. All right, so we've got some nice variance of color in here. Can you see it? Can you see a little bit of browns, a little bit of a kind of a warmer brown over here? We've got some green. I feel like I need just a little bit more green over here. And we still got our dark colors near the bottom. Gonna get a little bit of lighter color down there, here and there. And bring out different pieces of grass. So we've got a nice variance of color now. We mixed some meadow green with some lemon yellow, and we're mixing it also with some leather brown. And I'm just kind of putting it all together over the top of the grass to make it look more natural. I have to come at it from this side now as well, at least where I can see it a little better. Yep. We're just putting a bunch of different colors on here because field grass has a bunch of different colors. So I want to... Mostly I just want to make it not the same. Not all the same color. And this is why I use a lot of neutral colors for grass. Like as far as the color of grass that I lay down at first, because then I find it easier to paint over it. Poking at it with the brush and laying on paint also lets you like separate out strands and make it even a little bit more random when you want to. I think that looks nice. It's a much more interesting piece of grass now. It's got a lot more color on it, and it definitely brings out the pink more. All right, now this little puddle of grass on the front. I feel like I need one more. For blasted grass, I think you're going to want to actually put a dark wash over the scorched areas. That's how I've seen it done before, Turgeon. You need to paint all of it. What? ReaperCon announcements for me? I don't have any. Other than that, yeah, teachers are submitting their classes. I will probably not teach this year. Because I don't know what the puppy situation is going to be. Pop in some more static grass. I tap it so that the grass settles down into the glue as much as possible. Then tap it to get it off. There we go. Now I've got a proper tuft growing up there. See it? So I like that. All right, we're going to let that set, and then we're going to color it. Meanwhile, I'm getting rid of the static grass so I don't inhale it. Inhaling static grass is not my idea of fun. But yes, teachers are currently submitting classes. I need to remind David to do so, otherwise he'll forget. But I figure we've been bringing ourselves in under our own power, so we're not like depending on Reaper to foot the bill. So I don't want to, not knowing what the puppy situation will be, I don't know what's going to happen with me, so I don't want to commit to teaching because that would... Oh, it travels. Like, it's fine. At least if you use super glue. It may be more fragile if you're using something else. Like if you're using PVA glue, I feel like it may be a bit more prone to falling off. Just taking some of this bone color and highlighting the tops of the grass a bit. So that I can get that light effect. So yeah, I feel like if you use PVA, that your basing materials probably don't stick quite as well. Stuff can still come off if you use static grass, but in my experience, it's a bit more durable. So now I've got that nice kind of pale halo at the tops of the grass. Which I like. I'll carry some of that down a little. There, a little streaky. That's nice. Excellent. I mean, it's like all this stuff is glued on. Like everything is done with super glue at this base. It's going to be pretty darn good. And if you really want to make sure, Shadow Raven, the thing to do is to thin down some white glue, some Elmer's all-purpose or some PVA. Like thin it with water. Put a thin coat over everything on your base. It may clump the grass a little bit, but essentially that serves as a sealing coat to make everything kind of stick down. Let it dry and you should be good for gaming. Like, I don't think you'd need that, but if you really are uncertain about it, I mean... Yeah, exactly. You can't tell at this point that she started on a flat integral base, right? Which is what I like. Plus the fact that we worked that integral base into this means that she's a little higher, right, on the base, which makes her look nicer, I think. It's always nice to get a bit of height on the figures. I feel like the integral bases are good as far as they go, but when I put it on top of a plastic base like this, I get that extra 1/4 inch height, and it just makes the figure stand out so much nicer. Like, I don't know what Mod Podge is as far as, is it PVA? If you look up on Google, is Mod Podge PVA glue? But you just want something like a decent quality glue. Elmer's all-purpose was always my go-to. But, I mean, whatever works. Well, the important thing is that you get a layer of glue down on, covering all your basing material. That's going to form another layer of adhesion. It's not 500th, Trouble. It's that you've missed it. No, you didn't miss it. Because I had to take a day off, Trouble, it's actually Monday. Today is $4.99. So Monday we're giving away gift codes. Yes, happy $4.99. Then I have no idea. I've never used Mod Podge. I never found it necessary. Like, it wasn't in my toolbox. Like, I liked my Elmer's all-purpose and I just stuck with it. If I needed something heavier duty, I'd use Elmer's wood glue. So I'm going to bring in some greens here. This will be my kind of test to see if things are sticking down. Get close. Now, one thing we can do here is that if we want... Where did I put? There it is. If I want the color to come up more on the static grass, I will put down... I'll do exactly what I do with everything else. I'll underpaint it. So maybe I'll get a little bit of my bone color going on. Glue and sealer are close to each other anyway, so Mod Podge just... Like, it's pretty much the same. I hate to say this, but paint is glue and glue is paint. And sealer, most brush-on sealers are very like glue. They're like close already. Sealers and varnishes. Okay, when they use the word varnish, then I'm convinced they don't know what they're talking about chemically. Like, whoever wrote that, varnish is its own beast. Sealer and glue are very similar. Like, chemically, they're almost exactly the same thing. So yeah, when they use the word varnish, that's when I raise my eyebrow and go, who wrote your copy? And do they know anything? So that says... Yeah, they didn't say shellac. Yeah, you think that's what they mean, but you don't know, right? Like I was gonna say before you said that, actually, Shadow Raven, that probably what they mean is they're pretty much using a glue, but with a higher acrylic, like they're adding acrylic resin in. And so essentially, that would make it harder and it would also make it shinier. So that would be my guess. That's what you're dealing with. So I underpainted with a bit of our bone color. Now I'm going to put the green over the top if I want more green. And now I can pick up that green quite a bit. Oh no. And I can blorf. Of course the actual recipe is secret. Like all the most simple like things are secret. I speak as one in the industry. Well, that's why it's like varnish is like, yes, exactly. Like when somebody, that's why I said when the varnish was actually in the ad copy, I'm like, somebody does not know what the heck they're talking about. Which is usual. What happens is that the paint chemist like gives kind of this layman's description to the company, and the company gives that to the person who has to like come up with ad speak, and the person who's coming up with ad speak has like no frame of reference and no knowledge of the topic, and so they just kind of like say whatever like, you know, they've interpreted that to mean. An acrylic-based varnish isn't a real varnish. Acrylic-based varnish is what you call just a very high acrylic sealer. Unfortunately, in our hobby, the terminology is just all over the place, and this has been a problem for years. And it's compounded by the fact that the hobby industry, like has kind of like bought into that like whole thing where they just use the term varnish as sealer, whereas in other industries, like the industries that originated it, it's something completely different chemically. So when I hear varnish, I like go, whoa, and go, that's not, that word does not mean what you think it means. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do use them interchangeably, but be aware that they aren't actually the same thing. Not cross genre. So like if you use the word varnish and one of your friends is into woodworking, they're going to go, you varnish miniatures? You know, that kind of thing. Right. Okay. So acrylic based. Okay. So you've got a spray. So it is a solvent. So actually, a solvent based acrylic. So that's interesting. So that is actually a bit closer to actual varnish, Pocket. Because varnish is typically a solvent based formula. But acrylic is what people use for sealers. Like, because acrylic is the hardest of the resins, like it dries the hardest. Yeah, they're doing all sorts of surfaces there, Pendrake, and I bet they're all the dishwasher safe has got to be a really different formula. Just gonna say that out there. I mean, Puzzle Saver is just going to be a thinned version of their regular product. High Gloss is going to be higher acrylic. Dishwasher Safe is going to be some weird mutant with water-resistant heat treatments. Outdoor probably very similar to... acrylic technically can be outdoor. Yeah, exactly, Nomad Zeke. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. Yeah. Yeah. Decoupage glue, yeah. Well, that's just it. Tio Zebra, in hobbying today, it constitutes the function, but the composition is what varnish originally was. And for those of us in chemistry, in the paint chem department, or for people in other hobbies where real varnish is used, then it's just a confusing term and it means chemically something different. And so that's where the problem comes in, right? Anybody who's just a hobbyist in our hobby is going to think varnish is sealer and that's it. But that's not the end of the story, and you can get confused if you go to a hardware store and pick up like, or even just like a regular old like big box store like Target. Like, not every varnish is suitable for use in our hobby, and that's where I don't like the fact that people have adopted that term, because you can make big mistakes with that. But it's just the way it is. So for me, it is a chemical distinction, because I don't want to use that word, because if you're in Target and you pick up an acrylic varnish, it may not actually be a good idea to put it on your figures. So I'm going to use sealer, and I'm going to direct you to those products that are water-based sealers or spray sealers that are suitable for miniatures. I'm very careful about my terminology, though, because I'm teaching on this show. And so, sure, you may find an acrylic varnish like Pocket mentions that works just great and is meant for, hobbying. But you also may find something completely different that isn't really suitable. So, nice, Pocket. That's cool to know. So that's why I try to be very specific in my language. I don't ever want anybody saying, but you said I could use a varnish, and me going, eek. Yeah, Future. Yep. Future is a high acrylic sealer. It pretty much is. Yes. So, but Future is also not non-toxic. So, or at least it wasn't. That's why I would tell people not to use sealer, because they would be like mixing washes with sealer, and then they'd lick their brush, and I would be like seriously. This is why it's important to know what you're using, especially if you're a brush licker. Like, seriously. No link. Yeah, we don't do links in chat, Pocket, but if you're on, Reaper has a Discord that's open to everybody. And that would be a great place to put it, because people do always ask questions about painting translucent figures. So if anybody knows like a good channel that Pocket could put that in, if there's a reference channel or something that Pocket could put that in on the Discord, that would be awesome. Because then it's not just the 40 or 50 or 60 people who are watching this show. You can hit the entire Reaper audience, which there's a lot of people who like to paint translucent pockets. That would be really, really useful if you could. Resources channel. All right, cool. Yeah. Pop that in there, Pocket. People will be so happy. Like, I didn't know that, so that's really useful. And then it'll be there for posterity. Thank you. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of the bone color on top of the grass just to bring it out. And you see how it looks a lot like our original grass now, even though we started with a different base color. Yay. Bunny. Hey, Bunny, are you dunny? I think Bunny might be done. Oh, they must have changed their formulation, Joe Frick. They used to taste like mint. Back when I was a brush licker. That was a long time ago. I stopped. I broke myself of that habit pretty convincingly. All right, we have a bunny, and I think that the bunny is going to be pretty much done. I'll likely need to paint the outside of her base. I like to keep it just shiny and black, but I think I might have too much. We'll see if I've got enough like blorfs on it. If I have significant blorfage, then I've got to paint it. So I do definitely have some variance on it, so I'll probably need to paint over it. We'll see, though. It might be okay. Might be shiny enough. Well, these were old. Like, keep in mind, I haven't used Vallejo for over 20 years at this point. All right, bunny. Bunny, guys, bunny. Bunny out in the great outdoors. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with Bunny. I think she turned out really, really well. And we did, like, actual blue eyes on her, and it worked. Like, I'm always thrilled when the eyes are big enough on a model that I can do color. Significant blurpage. Oh, I don't brush lick at all, Grey Wolf. Like, no brush licking on this stream. I broke myself of that habit years ago when a friend of mine got sick. And I was like, you know what? I really don't need to be ingesting this crap. There are enough chemicals in my environment. So yeah, for both of these models, we actually got to do colored eyes, and that's been pretty cool. Yeah, I'm about to switch back and try some oils myself, Tio Zebra, and yeah, really, really, right? No way, no brush licking, nope. Oh, other streamers, Grey Wolf. Okay, I got confused. You said the stream, but it confused me. That's okay. So yeah, so we did colored irises on both these models because they both have eyes that are big enough to, and because they're animals, we can get away with making the iris larger than it would be in a human eye. That's another thing to talk about, actually, is, thanks, Pocket. Yeah, you can put a note on the product you use, too, if you want to, like, and Inara also brought up we have a forum as well, if you're not into Discord as much, but yeah. So the reason we can get away with colored irises, because I talk a lot about this on this show, where I feel like you cannot usually do colored irises on a 28 millimeter, and in most figures that would be true. These guys both have really large eyes because they're animal models, and so they're definitely big for their faces, and because they are animals, and animals tend to have larger irises, fill the eye. You can get away with making the irises bigger, and so you can convey that color. Whereas when you are trying to do this one, big difference on eye size there, guys. Big difference. Big difference on head size, too, you'll notice. Like, scaling in general. Like, they're the same height to the top of their head, by the way, but the scale is completely different. The sorceress is more like, let's see, are we about 6 heads tall? I'm betting we're about 6 heads tall. Whereas Bunny is only about 4.5, 5 heads tall. Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah, 4.5 to 5, I'd say. So that's a scale. That's a scale thing. And something that as a visual artist or as a sculptor, you look at. You like look at the number of heads tall your figure is, and changing up that scale gives you a very different figure from, the smaller, generally the more heads you get, the more realistic you're getting. The bunny is... So the bunny is actually, I think I'm going to actually recommend this model, and any of you can as well. If you have new painters in your circle and they're looking for a simple, fun model to paint, I would say that Enrieth is a really good choice for beginning painters. And the reason is that she's relatively simple, but she still has nice details. As an animal person, she's fun to paint. And because she's a bigger, scale, because she's, just kind of, a more solid, larger scale than that small elf sorceress, she's going to be easier for a beginner to paint. And so I would say that this is a model that I would very much say would be a good choice for a beginning painter to have some fun with. Alrighty. So now we are done with Bun. Done with Bun. Oh, but now my palette has all these colors in it that I don't need. Dirty palette. What have I got? I've got a little less than half an hour left. Let me go and grab my other... Wait, does my other palette have paint on it? No. I'm going to go grab a clean palette to work on Kitty. Let me put this one in the sink. 1 second, everybody. We never actually switch models in the middle of a stream, but I'm going to go and put this in the sink and get a clean palette, and then we'll go to Kitty's armor. You know what? I'll actually use my wet palette. I do have a clean palette, but I thought I would actually use wet palette. But I do need to get my NMM colors. Yeah, I use a green scrubby Kodiak. Like, normally I just flood it with water so that the paint will be thinned enough to go safely down the sink. Then I'll take a green scrubby, and take out the gummy bigger pieces and just discard them into a waste paper basket. You could use other things. You could loosen them up with a scrubby and then use a paper towel and then, rinse clean. I need one more thing. So let's mix it up actually. I was gonna go with my standard, but now I'm thinking maybe I won't. Maybe we'll use that triad that we're always talking about. Do I have Moonstone Blue? That's the question. Moonstone Blue, Moon Blue. Yay, Moon Blue. All right. So those who know that this is part of a triad, you can do whatever you want to clean your palette. I like the green scrubby pad for efficiency's sake. I find that it works really well on my ceramic palettes. If you are a toothbrush fan, use what works. I mean, if the paint is all wet, you can at least get the paint out by using something absorbent like a cotton thingy. Although I wouldn't use a cotton thingy, I would use shop towels. I mean, I have shop towels, so. But most of the time, my paint is already so thin, I will just like run water into it to make it pretty much rinsable. It's just like at that point, it's a wash. And then all the chunky parts I take out. But yeah, it's only the part that, it's going to dry on the wells a little bit. But I clean my palette immediately after stream, and I never have to scrub too hard to get the paint up. Yeah, whatever you want. Like, there's so many ways to skin this particular cat. Ha 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 ha. Meow. All right, I can say that because Kerniko isn't here to be horrified. Okie dokie. So we're going to use this triad, except we're not going to use the highest one. We're going to use a different one because I don't think I've got Foggy Gray, but I have Misty Gray. So we can use these. I wanted to go really silvery, really blue silvery with the kitty cat armor. So using Moonstone and Carbon Gray is nice. The Moonstone gives you an intrinsic blueness to the armor. It is going to go a little bit more blue at first than than my usual mixture, which is cloudy gray and ashen blue. Usually I start that way. And I am going to mix a bit of my Moonstone Blue with my Carbon Gray to get a base coat. Yeah, fingernail just takes too long. I get impatient, Jofurk. I just use the green scrubby. It takes less than a minute for me to clean my palette after stream. Oh noes, I knocked over all the paints. All of them. Well, let's use, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can still use a drops formulation on my wet palette if I want to. So I'm going to use 5 drops of Moonstone. Its code name was Moon. And then it's more that the stupid lid, like this is the problem with the hinged wet palettes as opposed to like ones like the Masterson, which have separate lids. It's just that it tends to like roll over every paint on the back of my desk, and I keep a certain lineup of paints back there for easy use. All right, that is an annoyed carbon gray. There we go. So I'll put 1 drop of carbon into 5 of Moon, and then we'll see what kind of color I make. The other annoying thing about the wet palette is it's not as easy to drag down into the camera. Yeah, metallics are really high acrylic, Joe Ferk. And then you've got the particulate effect. So that can get problematic with airbrushing. Yeah. Alrighty, I'm going to mix these together and I'll put a little bit of it on the kitty so you can see what color it makes. It's going to make a gray that has a fair amount of blue shift to it. It's actually a pretty color. All right. Wet palette is perfectly feasible tool for this sort of blocking in. I'm going to also mix up a little bit just of my straight up carbon gray and of my straight up Moon. Normally, the other color that I would normally use to shade steel NMM is gray liner. I actually like it a little bit better because it has not as good coverage. Transparency is good when you are trying to do NMM. You want it to blend easy. All right, there we go. I just want to be able to do a bit of spot wet blending on this if I feel like it. I'm going to grab my Reaper Zero. We'll work with that. All right, kitty cat. So my color that I mixed up looks like this. So you can see how blue it is. I'm going to base coat this leg and then work on some other parts while it dries and come back and do a wet blend over the top to block in shadows and highlights on the leg. Kitty cat. So we're starting at kind of a medium, I'm going to call this a medium tone color. It looks like a medium light because we're putting it over the white primer. But I'd say it's about a 4 on the grayscale, yeah. Or sorry, I need to go over into the other areas. It's about a 7. I forgot that it's higher numbers for lighter instead of darker. Which is very counterintuitive on that color wheel. Yep. And Tio Zebra, you have just summarized the fact that why I went with coverage as not my priority for Master Series. If you did not know, I am the person who created the Master Series paint line, Tio. I don't know if you knew that or not. But essentially, my entire shtick was, I always work with thin paint. Every bit of paint I put on the model is thinned. And I always had better results that way, and I always felt like coverage was overrated because I hated having to add a ton of water to paints to thin them to the point where I could use them. And so, essentially, that's exactly what I did in Master Series. It's why Master Series is a very different paint line from any other paint line on the planet, because coverage is not a priority. Function is more my priority. we don't have crappy coverage, but the coverage is more like you'd get out of a tube paint, where it's very much dependent on the actual pigment and the pigment's coverage. That said, I did get a few more tricks later on for like the Bones line. New technologies that let me go a little higher coverage for colors where people were probably likely to use them for base coating. Yeah, samples are unique animals most of the time, Joe Ferg. Oh, you loved how it? Awesome. Yay, Tio. Thank you. Yeah, that's, making Master Series is really, like, the thing I'm most proud of that I've done in the industry. Like, just because it let me give back to my hobby, and I've been doing this since I was a little kid, so yeah, I'm so glad you like the paint. I love hearing from people that they do like the paint, and I'm even more happy that you actually appreciate like exactly the qualities that I wanted to create in it. MSP, just since you're relatively new to the line, Tio, if you didn't know, we also add flow improver to the formulations directly, so you don't have to use any additives. They thin best just with water. I just keep a bottle of water hanging around. That's what I'm always adding. Because I like to do my ratios when I'm using my well palette, but I like this color I've made. But yeah, I'm no longer in charge of MSP because at the start of the pandemic, I moved out to California to be with my guy, David, who I'm currently affianced to. So they have a crew that took over my job as far as, day-to-day production and the making of new colors and all that. But I created the line and I hand mixed almost every batch for the first 15 years. Then my back started to give out, and I met this cool guy who's also a top-level miniature painter. David is a Crystal Brush winner and multiple award winner otherwise. There we are. So yeah, it's nice to meet you, Tio. Glad you caught the stream. If you want to order more MSPs, then you should also catch the stream on Monday when we're giving away free gift codes. Maybe you can get some free product. Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy. I mean, Reaper, I talk about this. You guys will be able to hear my whole origin story on my YouTube soon enough when I put it up this coming month. But I mean, I cannot say anything bad about Reaper, but I am happy to have moved on to the next phase of my life. I'm super happy to still be working for Reaper. I recently, TO, this year I celebrated my 19th anniversary working for Reaper. Because I'm still a part-time employee. I'm still doing this stream every weekday. So they didn't let me go. They're like, nope, we're keeping you. You can move to California. We don't care. You're now our first remote employee. I only call it an origin story because that's what everybody else started calling it, was the an origin story. So I'm like, all right, I'll capitulate. That's what it is. Yeah, Kodiak, I did. I made them. I made them because, like, when I started, the best paint out there was Vallejo, and there were still things about Vallejo that really, really torqued me, that I really hated. Some things I really liked about it, and some things I really didn't like. So as you use different paint lines as a painter, you're using a lot of different ones because something comes out, you give it a try. And I kind of had laundry list of like, what I liked about certain paints and what I didn't like. And so when Reaper hired me on, and one of my first things on my job description was to help them create a new paint line to be a competitor to Vallejo, I already had a list of qualities that I wanted in a new line. I wanted better adhesion. I wanted a more fluid consistency because I didn't want to have to work so hard to get the paint to the point where I could like layer with it. But I definitely wanted it to stick to the model better. And I didn't care so much about coverage because, like I said, I was thinning everything, base coat on up. So that was very useful to have had that list of qualities that I really wanted in a paint line, my dream paint line, I guess. And then I had to learn a little, well, I didn't have to, but I'm a very thorough sort of girl. So I went out and learned just enough paint chemistry to understand why things worked the way they did in paint. And that's held me in good stead because it gives me another paradigm to explain why paint works the way it does. It's like knowing that, essentially anything that calls itself a lacquer is going to be a high acrylic water-based, if it's an acrylic lacquer, it's essentially just a high acrylic resin water-based paint. That is going to be glossy because of the qualities that the acrylic resin has and stuff like that. That's all stuff I picked up during that time. I was lucky enough to run into several industry studies and papers that detailed the differences between the different resins used in commercial paints. And so I was able to learn some of that micro level stuff just by spending some time, dedicating myself to reading some very dry articles. Dry articles about wet paint. And then that helped inform my process when I was doing, looking for new formulations and experimenting with new bases and things like that. I was pretty much able to tell our paint chemist, and our salesperson exactly what I was looking for, like all of the different qualities that I was looking for, and I was able to speak their language when I did it. So that was extremely useful. It is severely lacking in the hobby scene, and that's why it drives me nuts when people just spout stuff. Yeah, exactly, Tio. We're soul children here. I totally preach it. This is totally how I feel. Is that our hobby is very, very, it just, a lot of people spouting stuff. It's like the internet. Our hobby is like the internet. A lot of people spout a lot of stuff and they don't really understand it. And then other people hear it and they take it for truth. And then the people who actually understand what's going on are like, but. Yep. Yeah, right. Yeah. And that's terminology too. And we've always had a terminology problem in this hobby. It's not helped by the fact that the terminology tends to differ between Europe and America, although that's less so now because there's so much crossover on the internet. Oh, nice. Nice, Chromatic. Aw, thanks. Yay, warm fuzzy. You added your bunny to your wish list. Good, Joffer. But yeah, I do feel that way. That's why I always have to bite my tongue. I'll go to Adepticon, and some company will be launching a new paint line. And I will stand and listen to them talk to potential customers about that paint line. And I will so have to just bite my tongue so hard and walk away because, you're never going to be able to, you can't just jump in on that conversation. Even though you hear a bunch of contradictory stuff and a bunch of just weird terms and And you're like, wow. And you just can't. You just can't. You have to walk away. Because, I mean, they're saying what they're saying just because that's what marketing has told them, right? Like, that's how they've interpreted, like, that maybe even what their paint company told them. Because their paint company's trying to put it in layman's terms, or, you know, and the paint company's even worse because it doesn't know the hobby, so it doesn't know the terminology or what it means in our hobby. So, yeah, I feel like you just get a bunch of... Yeah, bus. Well, you know, you could just buy the Faceless Horror and be done. Like, that's what I always tell people to do, Joe Ferk. Have you not run across that recommendation from me? Julie Guthrie sculpted a Faceless Horror. It's kind of like a gibbering mouther from AD&D, so it's all teeth and eyes. And the eyes are all different sizes, so it's actually a really wonderful way to get a single model and then work on a bunch of different sized eyes in different colors and different techniques. It's really, really a great model for that. And it's like $6.99 or something in Bones? Worth every penny if you're practicing eyes. Like, it totally is. And it's a great sculpt because Julie's a great sculptor. And you could use it in your D&D game if you have one. Oh, I see a bit of flash there that I didn't get on that little pinky. I find chibi's not as good for eyes because the chibi sculpting almost forces you into the chibi eye design, like to paint it kind of like a chibi. It is definitely something to explore if you enjoy doing a lot of detailing in the eyes, because it's fun for that. But it isn't I don't think it's a good way to practice eyes. Yeah, Faceless Horror. Quindy just linked it. It is a scary monster, but it really is. Pardon me while I get this little bit of flash off of here. And I think I saw one over here too. There. There we go. Perfect. So yeah. Faceless Horror for the win, guys. That's when I taught an eyeballs class, that's the model I used. It does give you the most bang for your buck. It's about, let's see here. Faceless Horror is about as big as maybe 2 paint bottles. Maybe it's a little less. It's a little less. I want to say it's about as big as the body, a little bit bigger than the body of the Sphinx here. Like, it's a monster, so it's a medium-sized monster like this. Ish. Kind of about, like, the body of the Sphinx if it took up, like, it's a solid model, though, obviously. She's very svelte, but, Oh, I know, right? Ah, oh, Tio, you are my soul person. Like, totally. We have the same opinions. That would be awesome. That would be awesome if RPGs would just move to 54. Just use cardboard standees for the monsters. Although, you know, Tio, we are getting our wish, kind of, because a lot of, I mean, let's face it, this cat is like 35. Like, where's my tiny ruler? Okay, let's find out. Here's the scale creep, guys. Are you ready? How much has scale creep taken? You want any bets? Just don't measure your own models, but guess how many millimeters tall this cat is. And I'll bet you dead sure it's not 28 millimeter. Any guesses? Scale creep 33. All right. This cat is indeed 35, actually more, 37, 36, 37 from its toes to the top of its head. If you measure to the eyes, it's 33. So, and those are both valid. Like, that's where scale really gets confusing, is that back in the day is like, true 25, was it to the top of the head or was it to the eyes? And that's how you started to get scale creep. So yeah, 36, 37. So this model is almost 40 millimeter. We're not far off, Tio. Like, all we need is a little more scale creep, and they'll be at least 45 millimeter, and then I feel like we're close enough. We're close enough, right? But yeah, so scale creep, it's our friend. Yeah, just another decade or two. Yeah. Oh dear. Oh no, time call. I need to get some of the I need to get the helmet down. But yeah, so this silvery blue color is what I'm thinking of for the armor guys. What do you think? I think it goes well with the orange fur. Obviously, we'll get darker shadows, and we'll be bringing it up to pure white. I kind of want it to be a very pale silver steel, but I want that blue tone. So I think it's a good color choice for Kitty here. And the blue in the armor helps to like make his orange look even brighter. Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Hey, it's Bob and Julie, guys. So the sculptor of this model and the Faceless Horror and the Sphinx I just showed just popped into the chat. That's Green Users. That's Julie Guthrie and Bob Rodolfi. Both obviously master sculptors for Reaper. And Julie says the Faceless Horror is 1 3/4 inches tall and 2 1/4 long. Thank you, Julie. I didn't have one close to hand. Kitty is... Hold on, I gotta find Kitty's card. Kitty's card is hiding under the watercolor card I've got my swatches on. The Catfolk Paladin is... This is a Dark Heaven model, so it is metal. 4051. And this reminds me, I need to grab the swatch card and make a new swatch of my metal color before we end the stream. Yeah, sure. No problem, Quindy. I'm just gonna... I want to finish up signing on my base color here. That way I'll be in the correct place to do wet blending next time around. Because MSP tends to be just a little bit more translucent, I do like to put down a base coat before I do wet blending. So if I'm going to wet blend a lot of this, the dark to light on the NMM pieces, then I'm going to lay down this coat first. That way I don't have to worry about coverage. A lot of the thicker paints on the market, the goopier paints, you can just wet blend right over your primer and you're fine. I've got a hair on my model. I don't even own a cat. The Catfolk Paladin is shedding, guys. There. Yeah, did you not notice the shield has a ball of yarn? It's awesome. Yeah, this is a great model. There's a reason I chose this model to paint on the stream. You guys know I choose really cool models for the most part. I do feel like I need a monster though. I need something to replace the bust with. I need a big model, bigger model. I'm waiting for something to pounce me and like really, really say, hey, paint me. Because to do a big one, I need to really like it. We've done a lot of humanoids recently, so I don't want to do one of those. Because we did the ogre, did the gnoll. Trying to figure out what I want to do. Yeah, just wait till I know, till we have a dog again, right? Kiri was always putting her fur on my models before. I'm sure that the new pupster will, I'll be safe for a very short period of time because the puppy coat doesn't really shed. But once the real adult coat starts coming in, they called them Shiloh shedders for a reason. All right, so we need to just touch up just little bits here. There we are. Alrighty. I looked at Cerberus. There are some things that really bother me about Cerberus. Not really. Although, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know what kind of puppy this, like... This is a new line. Like, before, I would know what I was getting because, you know, I was breeding. And with Blazy, I just kept one of Kiri's kids, and so I knew exactly what I was getting. But this is a new quantity. I haven't owned a dog from Bridget's lines before, so... I will say that the puppy's mama, Zammy, is a complete and total goofball. But the daddy, Floyd, is much more serious. And I want a serious puppy, actually. I like serious dogs. So we'll see what we get. It may be that the only puppy available to me is a goofball. All right, there we go. So we've at least got this mapped in. Yeah, you guys will get... Yeah, I like how the helmet goes over and Kitty's ears too. Because it helps to protect Kitty's ears. Yeah, I'll look at some of the models. You guys know me. I need to like sit there and kind of like scroll through the site and look at the minis and see which one calls to me. When you're going to spend this much time on a model and talk about it, you really want to be working on a model that really speaks to you. So I will be trying to figure out what I want to do. And Kitty has gloves on, so definitely gonna leave those to be painted some other color. Oh, I almost missed that little armor plate. Yeah, I don't know what I want to do. I mean, I'll go and look. I really do have to, like, it's weird. When I'm trying to figure out what to paint, I really do have to just kind of, like, look through my models and just kind of listen to my gut. Like, I'll find something, yeah. I could always just resculpt the parts of Cerberus I don't like. I don't like his tail. Heads are okay. But I looked at the Cerberus. I looked at the Cerberus, but yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's about 1/4 after, so we actually made a lot of progress today. I mean, base coating is boring, but it let us chat a little bit more, and we did finish our bun. So Kitty and Bun. You think that watching me resculpt Cerberus would be fun until you, like, if you really want to see how boring it is, you go and look at my VODs of the Wolfen that I'm resculpting right now on my own stream, which is on Saturday. So that's tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. USA Central Time. I should be on tomorrow. We've got some stuff to do, and I'm trying hard to get my Patreon done in time for the con at the end of this month. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I go back and forth. I'll at least get on for a short period of time to stream tomorrow, but I don't know if it's going to be very long at all. And that's on twitch.tv/paintingbig. So yeah. Alrighty. Yeah, I wanted to give Cerberus a floofier tail for sure. Okay, 3 p.m. Central for Reaperland. Remember, Monday, guys, is our 500th episode, and we'll be giving away stuff. We'll be giving away gift codes, so you can buy whatever you want on the Reaper's site. So yes, come back on a Monday, please, at 11:30 a.m. USA Central Time, here for the 500th episode of Pro Tips. Alrighty, righty? And you guys have a great weekend. I'll stop on my Twitch at least a little bit tomorrow, just not a ton. All right, bye-bye.